Well, hello there, everyone. You show you right here is like for the direct loan. I'm sure most of us have seen, from the previous videos I had posted, talk about for direct loans, and basically that we basically get the idea as to where that yeah, it's borrowed money, not really earned money. But on the other hand, that if we would actually do the research about is to where that if we can actually earn money, like while we're making payments, it's like so far, any other type of it's going to be maybe a charge card or credit card that we may have, and later on in time, and thinking about as to where that you're actually doing a study about as to where that how often would a company pay you money, and we're like Warren to where that's like we say a discussion between it's like between the customers, like the client as well as with the company. But let's just say that on average to where just like for anybody else who may have had experience with like maybe putting a certain charge on a credit card, as well as making payments, and as well as for any cash dollar earnings, and as well as for points and stuff. But on the other hand, that this right here will be an example right here of like for dreams of the night, and basically that I'm like, yeah, this was an activity that I would put right here is like yeah, for like an activity that I was working on in class. And then you have right here is like for portfolios that I was also thinking about updating the portfolios change. But then I was also thinking seeing the direct loan here, and I'm like, well, that go ahead and get some ideas together for what I want to talk about so far as for job interviews, and as well as resumes. That whenever I was around this age here, that thinking about is to where that yeah, if you have chores around the house, but thinking about it necessarily to where for like a job resume. So I put together some ideas right here for like cash dollar amounts. That this was right here was like this was right here like a frame right here to where you have right here are several $100 right here, several $100 bills, and thinking about is to where that yeah, if this was right here was about maybe $100, that would equal to 1,000. So thinking about to where that I think about altogether about 11, 12 $100 bills or so would equal to about 1,000, or maybe 11 or $1,200, something like that. I would say about maybe about $1,200, something like that, a little over 1,000. So whenever we actually work the math and thinking about as to where that anything that's equal to maybe $1,000, and maybe about a quarter of a year as of right now, that like with anybody, say if you're going to be working, and let's just say if we make about on average about between 11 or maybe 12,000 or up to 15,000 a year. So the things that more likely that we may think about, and I know I've been thinking for about 20 minutes tonight about, is to where they're thinking about is to where yeah, that may be good that you may make that amount of money maybe within 2 years or so from now, and think that'll be enough to pay back your student loans. Anybody who's maybe collecting a social security check or anything like any other source of income, that to think about as to where if you can still keep your check, or that if you got to go by the guidelines as to where that from how much money that you make from your job and compared to like the social security check. So thinking about as to where that yeah, this amount of money that we may think at right now that it's not there, because it's like thinking about you're having to borrow the money. But like from what I mentioned about this, like talk about say for for the direct loan, it's like especially for like any type of stipend from the school or anything like that, but or any type of other type of payment arrangements and payment plans. But and for any loans that we're likely having to manage, especially on like on a credit card. But let's just say on average to where you have right here is a job interview, though, that I'm sure like thinking of anybody probably say go ahead and go on to the main points right here is to where that have right here some examples right here of like the mathematical type works right here in a blue background right here, just to kind of show the digits right here is like prove soon right away. So if anybody were to warrant where that for any kind of direct loan, that basically what direct loan basically means is to where that I say that they may not do no credit check, but then on average is to where that they're working it out between the job as well as the school or anything related that help you to where that you can borrow a little bit more money, as if it's needed, and then ways that working out to pay it back, especially. So that and I'm sure that any kind of experience that anybody that more likely that would be managing, as to where if it's going to be maybe on a credit card, as to where thinking about that if we were to be going out and getting a loan, maybe if it's going on a vacation or some sort, or maybe something maybe around the holidays. And I don't know, I'm sure everybody here has had their experience with loans besides paying for college. It could have been maybe paying for something for fun, or maybe for buying a house or some sort. And they may state as to where that they'll get a loan, as to where that's just something to where you may not want to do. There may be a lot of things that maybe you don't want to do, and especially it's like whenever they like for interest. But let's just say that on average, to where that if they give you like maybe 12 months, and a lot of times it goes by on average about 12 months to about maybe a full year. So one full year, if you're going to be paying back so much amount, and then as well as that working out for whatever a certain amounts that had to work out, especially. And I know that I talk a lot about student loans, and one of those will be is like keeping that stuff on record on file. But if we were to be looking at our accounts, logging on to our accounts online, and actually look at review some of these payment informations on record, even on our smartphones and tablets, and we're like warned to where that it don't look necessarily like this right here. This is something what you call what I worked out for creative right here. So anybody that may warrant to where that anybody that may warrant to where, hey, that you would like to go ahead and maybe move this $10 right here, that you'll go ahead and schedule a plan for about $10 more right here. So thinking about it, so for $10, and then you log back in, that you sign back into the student loan account, and then you would make an additional payment of an additional $100 more. So you're like warranted to where that you just place the payment, and then let's just say 4 hours or 5 hours from now that you may check, and then you may calculate is like, oh, wait a minute, I have a little bit extra money left. I'm going to go ahead and put some of that extra money aside to go ahead and take care of another payment. So just thinking about it, is to where that you made not just one-time payment, but you made an additional payment within that certain time of the hour. So I guess the question goes by as to where that I'm sure a lot of frequently asked questions more likely would have remained, but let's just say that on average to where that if we work in the banker right here, that they're not like on a monopoly board, but on their hand, a monopoly game, but on their hand working out payments, though, that if there was more than one payment processed within a certain time of the hour, within the 10 hours or so of the day, and they may say that, you just made a payment of 20% from that certain time of the hour, and then according to our records show that you just made a payment of 5%, from within the 5 hours or so of from what we see on our record. So thinking about is to where that the more payment activity, it seems like is if you're better off, and which I know that anybody that more likely wants to actually do the study about that, but that's something to think about too. And then you have right here is this page right here that I talk about for job resumes. So we warn to where that if it's going to be between day and night, is that we're like warned to where that for any type of job resume and interview is to where I have not updated any kind of resume in years. So it's like it's been about 7 years since I last updated the job resume. So anything that more likely it's on the resume, such as experience or anything like that, and I can maybe also mention about as to where that I know a little bit about Microsoft Word, and as well as creative source of work. And I know we probably cannot see all this right here. It says right here for the most experience that is like for you have is that would be as to where that the information that's like collected and known about that for with and it's like for such as your qualification for the work of experience. It's like for work worked on a database for the best. So basically that the study and then the abilities is to where that for a lot of my experience is to where that they're able to where that anything creative, but that I may say, and then as on like an interview is to where that how well you're able to work with other clients as other people, and as well as for people that ask for your business. So let's just say that we may think that anything that's worked on like managed on Facebook or some kind is to where that we may think that a lot of our hours or like say either that you're doing it either for nothing or that you feel like you're being slaved, which I know that that anybody that may think is to where a certain amount of hours that you put a lot of time and effort that you put into putting something together and thinking about is to where it's not really a job, but just something just for what you call the extra time that you put into it. But then sometimes it's like you still didn't get the job. And I know some job applications that may ask is like, are you an early morning person? So you have right here is a picture right here of a moon that this would have been taken probably around the springtime. So you have right here is a picture of me right here. I think we probably seen this before, but talking about for like a job resume. So I know that if I were to be putting a job resume together anytime soon, you have right here is the state of Missouri right here, and as well as for managing the skills and the creative art and the designing, and then you have right here is the school's information. So thinking about it as to where the jobs that I had before that I may likely is what I would say is to where that for any type of a job interview that they may ask about any type of work experience. So really that there may be a little information provided right here on a job resume, but it looks quite different compared to what it did back nearly 10 years ago. So it's like I may mention before about maintenance, working a certain job, some sort, what my responsibilities were. And then now it's like, yeah, this is the type of experience that you have now, for the school that you went to and as well as the work experience. So if anybody that more likely wonders to where that, if you want to use like maybe a social media site as an example, but on your hand that one of those will be is to where I would more likely say is to where that, yeah, anybody who collects, for if it's going to be, Social Security benefits, or if it's going to be maybe updating on the tax files, or if it's going to be, anything maybe related to financial aid, is that thinking about that, yeah, that basically the jobs is like to where that, any information that's related to any source of income and doing the working the math and as well as you keeping other, sites, updated. So we wanted to where the type of stuff that we likely think is to where that only needs to be updated maybe about every 6 months to once a year or something like that, or every 30 days or so. So thinking about necessarily to where for like a job resume, and I know that a lot of experience that we may have that we wonder to where if it really counts or not. So I included this right here as like for like a signature as well as for Creative Cloud. So anybody that may want to where, birth certificate that may that, not everybody's going to maybe ask to see, but it's like for any photos or creative art. But let's just say that on average to where that like with the signature as well as like for any type of interview though, that the types of questions that more likely that you may get on during an interview would be as to where that, the type of experience that maybe what they're looking for, and then for how the interview went, and as well as the job performance, and then you tell them about maybe the job experience that you do have, and as well as the type of degree. And one thing that I do want is to where that, yeah, that the type of experience and then the type of degree that maybe that somebody would be asking for, or somebody with at least 5 years experience, even though I may only have about maybe 2 years experience with a lot of the software programs. Like thinking about as to where all the hard work that you may put into it, it just seems like that it's not enough compared to what's required, and as well as like for like an associate's or for a bachelor's degree. So anybody that may work to her, yeah, that the job requires a bachelor's degree, but then you may only earn associates. But and then you have right here for page 4 right here, and this right here will be an example right here of an apple design. For apple season. So some of this illustration work that I went ahead and worked on, some examples of a little bit, for what I was working on in the classroom especially. So, anybody that may want to where what do we mean by necessarily by examples? So examples basically could be used to where that, work that, that's allowed like by other presenters that, that is to know about for what that goes by the requirements for what needs to be done compared to some other examples that did not go by there were a few issues. So compared to for what's absolutely correct, compared to a few things that need to be corrected. So those could be other examples of yeah, other sources of professional work that they may use for the example, especially. So we're like wanting to where you have right here is I'm sure most of us have seen this before, like doing the Mac configuration right here. But on your hand, for like a illustration where you have right here is the apple right here, the apple fruit right there, like apple season. Is like for A as an apple, like for Matthew is like knowing about people say that for anything that more I could consider the favorite fruit, as well as the type of word that I use here for the gradient right here, like with the colors right here, and then right here is like for a job interview. So whenever we go for a job interview, especially if it's going to be maybe on Skype call, we warn to her that a lot of the information, how they receive it, and they could probably say that you can send it to this email or send it to this inbox or so, and the other person will be able to review it, and you're like warned to her that a lot of things. It seems like there's a difference between what that they ask for and what's required compared to what's shown on a resume. And I know that with me though that since it's been about at least 7 years since I updated my last resume. So anybody that may warrant to her that a lot of the job experiences that I have had had really had not to do with designing, and as well as other sources of requirements, basically, for the job. So whenever we look for a job that it's like seems like to where that some information that basically is to where that we mark NA and for non-accurable, and for good work ethic is like based on a lot of hours on my time, I am sure is associated. So I use these words like in bigger print right here. It's like what I typed up right here. And like in case if anybody asks, it's to where that the job resume that don't even include the years of experience, and knowing about that some that may say that it's a good idea maybe to include that even though if you don't have enough experience or a whole lot of experience, if you're familiar with like maybe some of the software programs, if it's going to be on a Mac or a PC or any other types of programs that if you're capable of learning those, and if you're a pretty fast learner other than that. But on the other hand, you have right here as an example right here of a credit card. So let's just say on average to where for like any kind of a direct loan, and anybody that may warrant to where that a loan came at the beginning. So you're like warrant to where if anybody asks why is it that you even thought about a loan whenever since you had a job, like, well, the job came afterwards. That in order to be able to go to school and you'll just be able to pay for school, it seems like to where that the loan came first and then it was the job. So anybody that may warrant to where you gotta be pretty good in luck just to be able to pretty lucky just to be able to get a job while you're like what you call managing the loans, as well as you're paying for your scholarships and other sorts. But let's just say on average to where that let's just say anybody that may warrant to where is it considered a job? Was it a job during that whole time? And on your hand, the question may go by as to where that could you earn money while you're paying back the student loans? So if it's going to be a direct loan or any some kind. So back then that thinking about as to where this was right here was me right here, and like doing the mathematical counts right here, and as well as that anything that this was right here was the bank account. And for whatever reason, this kind of reminds me of what you call besides the math work though, that this kind of reminds me of like anybody say that whenever you look at your money that you may have had in savings, such as what you call it for one of those activities I did with say for bank at home, is to where that we had a piggy bank at home, and thinking about it is to where does this look anything like we may see in a piggy bank? You might like say Oh no, not no $2,000. Well, we're not talking about that much here. I'm like, that seems so impossible. I'm like, we didn't have that amount of money back when we were young. But on the other hand, that you have right here is like, let's just say on average, to where that in 2 years from now, that this is possible, but on average, to where that this is how much money that maybe not by year, but maybe every 5 weeks that we may be getting this amount of money. So, and if anybody were to wonder to where that, do you make up to $2,000 every 5 weeks? Like, oh no, I don't make that much. And then after about maybe a year or so, or after about maybe 15 months, if we actually do the calculation, and you're like Warren to where, you look at the math facts, and at the time you're like Warren to where as soon as you see that amount of money in savings, and you're like, say, well, oh, let's go out and have fun with it. But then thinking about it to where, you may have to update that, according to, you say direct loans. It's like, so I know anybody that may want to where, you start making a little bit more money in the near future, and thinking of that, well, you'll go ahead and update that later on. But I just really think the important responsibility knowing about anybody, say, yeah, is to keep them updated about, say, for direct loan, is to where that we may think as to where that, yeah, we did not print the money, but then on here, say, for dreams in the night would be as to where that, yeah, let's just say the story where to go is to where that you get approved that loan that night. Let's just say if we're talking about up to about $2,000 worth, and let's just say that you more likely work it out to where you have it paid off in about 8 months. So that would be about 190 days or so, like maybe about 290 days or so, less than 190 days that you may have that paid off. And we're like, we're to where they really, include that on a job resume. But for any particular reason, for like a direct loan, job interview, and knowing about the questions that more likely asked is knowing about, really, are you usually on time with your payments? You're usually good on keeping people updated about the status and anything that's on record. But other than that, I talk about right here, it's like for direct loan, it's also say for job interview. Thanks for watching, man. May 25, and have a great day.